Well, good afternoon, folks. Today I want to talk to you about a stove. Big surprise, right? Well, this stove I want to talk to you about is an alcohol stove. We haven't talked about those much. This one has a serious case of roid rage. It's the Woodmite X2 Alcohol Stove. Welcome back, folks. Thanks for choosing to spend your time with me today. Like I said, we do have an alcohol stove on the docket today. It is the Woodmite X2 Alcohol Stove. As you can see, guys, it is a pretty unique design. I've never seen an alcohol stove set up quite like this before, so I'd like to take just a couple minutes and introduce this design concept to you and Woodmite as a company. So right off the bat, let's get you a close-up of this stove. It is pretty unique. We'll get into the exact design specifications here in just a minute. But right off the bat, I do want to point out that this stove is not necessarily intended for backpacking. It would work great for large groups if you're planning to cook for a large amount of people. However, this stove is specifically designed for, as in like car camping, porch cooking in your yard with your kids, something like that. It's not really intended to be a backpacking stove. It is a little bit heavier than what you would typically consider to be a lightweight backpacker's option. So that just to say, as you can see, it is really beefy steel. It's thick. It is relatively heavy for an alcohol stove, but at the same point in time, this thing is indestructible. You could light off a grenade in this thing and it probably wouldn't hurt it at all. Again, before we get into the specifications of this stove, like I alluded to in the beginning of this video, or the intro of this video, this stove is on steroids. It puts out a ton of heat. Again, a quick close-up of this stove. It has a ton of these holes around the side, which lets the flame spread out. Also, it does have a platform on the inside if you want to use a solid fuel like Espit or something like that. The pots stand on top. As you can see, it has a bunch of fins, which also helps to spread the flame out, but it also provides a really good sturdy base for even larger size pots. And the feet, they're extremely beefy, and for the size of the stove, they're pretty wide, so it does give it a really nice stable platform to stand on. Close up of that steel. I don't have any calipers with me today, guys, but that's pretty thick. Let's get the weight real quick. 1.85 pounds. So like I said, it is pretty heavy, a little bit outside of what I would consider to be the lightweight backpacker's range, but it is great for use on the porch or out in your front yard or off the back of the tailgate of your truck, something like that. Some quick measurements here. We have right at 5 inches tall and looking to be about 2 3/4 inches across on top. And the bottom is right at 3 1/2 across. When you fuel this up, you fill it right to the bottom of these holes here. It holds right at 4 ounces of alcohol. As far as alcohol types go, Woodmite recommends denatured alcohol or this yellow bottle of heat here. Other fuels will work, such as isopropyl rubbing alcohol, stuff like that, but this is what they recommend. I have seen some pretty impressive burn times off this stove. Your average mountain house meal takes about 1 cup of water. Some take a little bit more, some take a little bit less. But 1 cup of water, it boiled in 4 minutes and 23 seconds. I went ahead and tried out a full 4 cups of water just to kind of mimic if you have multiple people. That should be enough to cover about 5 or 6 mountain house meals. It boiled that in just over 11 minutes. Today, we're going to take it just a little bit further. I've got 7 cups of water in here. We're going to continue to explore my experimentation in commercially packaged food that is cheaper than your traditional freeze-dried food, just to keep in car kits, put back at the house for quick meals, stuff like that. Anyway, we are going to be trying this Bear Creek Country Kitchen's Darn Good Chili. Now, a buddy of mine, Mark from Eat Carbs, he is a big fan of Bear Creek foods, so I figured why not? This will be my first time with it. Mark likes it. Let me give it a try. Easy way to light it is just to sprinkle a little bit of alcohol on that bar in the center that they've got there for Esbit tabs, and just take your lighter or your ferro rod, your lighting instrument of choice. There you go. As with any alcohol stove, using a windscreen will greatly improve your efficiency. Alright, we just got it started. We'll go ahead and give that a time. Bring you guys back in a bit. Alright, we're right at 21 minutes. I just had to refill the stove. But as you can see, we are almost at a simmer. So we're getting there pretty good. Remember, this is 7 quarts of water, so this is something a little bit beyond the scope of what you normally do with an alcohol stove. Alright, we are boiling at 23 minutes 10 seconds. Now we'll be honest, I did step away for about 5 minutes and I came back and I had run out of fuel, so this time is just an estimate, somewhere around 20 minutes. And this is what you do when you neglect to bring a can opener. Smells good. Tell you what, there's a ton of heat coming out of this windscreen. Alright, let's let that simmer for a little while. Well, apparently I need lessons in literacy. I missed this part when I was investigating these meals at the store. Simmer uncovered for 20 to 25 minutes. Yeah, that time frame pretty well knocks this out as a viable option for an emergency use food for my family. It may be decent for just a regular meal, we'll see. To smell it, it smells very tomatoey, so it's probably not quite my cup of tea, or chili as the case may be. But anyway, I'm sure I'll have to refill the stove one more time, but we will see. The thing I really wanted to illustrate today is this is a large pot. The pot itself is a lot larger than the footprint of this stove. It's a nice, stable base. And given the beefiness of this stove, I realize you guys can't see it because of my windscreen and I can't really get it off right now because the pot's on there. But as you saw with that gauge of steel, it can take an enormous amount of weight. I just refilled that stove again. We're on our 3rd fill up. The only downside that I will give this, and it's really not a big deal because typically this is not something you're going to have to do. But if you have to refill it, if you're doing a long cook like we are here, like I inadvertently got us into, you have to let the stove cool down first or you will flash burn your eyebrows. Don't ask me how I know that. And I know someone out there is going to go, please tell me you got that on film. I'm sorry guys, no I didn't. Well, it smells decent. Let this cool down a little bit and we'll taste test. My friends, that is not chili. It tastes like vegetable soup that you get in a school cafeteria with rice in it. That is definitely not chili. That one's a pass, folks. Be a good base for something else, but don't attach chili to something like that. Of course, I am originally from Texas, so I am going to be kind of picky about my chili, but still, that's not chili. Well, folks, that's pretty much it for this Woodmite X2 Alcohol Stove. I've been really impressed with it, not so much with the chili. I could take it or leave it, it's not that great. But anyway, we're not here to talk about chili, we're here to talk about the stove. Like I said, I am pretty impressed with it. We burned for just shy of an hour on 2.5 refills of that stove, so that's about 10 ounces of fuel. That's not bad for an alcohol stove. It's about 40 degrees out here and it brought 7 cups of ambient temperature water up to boil in about 20 minutes, give or take a couple minutes there. So as far as a primary or a backup option, as far as car camping or just emergency cooking for at your house, on the porch or in the front yard, or even recreational cooking, I would definitely say it's a viable and a good option for that. The price point on the stove is $55 plus $6 shipping and handling, I believe. I will leave exact links and specifications and all that pertinent information in the description of this video. You guys probably know that biofuel stoves are typically my preference. However, there is a definite benefit to an alcohol stove. Whether you're in like a bug out situation or a get home situation, sometime where you don't want smoke to announce your presence, or if you're just in a hurry, it's a lot easier, a lot quicker just to pour a little bit of alcohol fuel in there for however much you need to cook and just light it off and go. There's not going to be any smell, there's not going to be any smoke, and lastly, it's pretty quiet. You don't get that jet engine type noise that you have on propane, butane, or other alcohol type stoves. So anyway, this is an excellent option if this concept fits your needs. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for being here today. I've really enjoyed showing the stove off to you. not so much enjoyed the chili, but anyway, that's irregardless. Thanks again for being here today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, would you go ahead and hit that thumbs up for me? I would appreciate it. If you want to continue to see some bushcraft, camp cooking, just general gear reviews and stuff like that, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Also, guys, as usual, hit up that comment section. Let me know what you think of this stove. Maybe give me some options that you like to use. Just let folks out there know what you use, what your preferences are. Anyway, thank you very much again for being here today, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, guys.